Hey, this is Mitch. Welcome back to the Life Stories channel. Everyone has led an interesting life and has had unusual things happen in it. Everyone could write a compelling, inspirational, humorous, or instructive autobiography that would provide wisdom, levity, or relief to those who are smart enough to choose to read it. This channel is an opportunity to enjoy the experiences of everyday people and to share in their joy, laughter, adventure, and yes, sometimes even sorrow. I have a lot of stories and could provide content for years for this channel. However, that's not my goal. My goal is to share stories from you and others like you, to provide a platform and a gathering place to tell those stories and for other people to hear them. So I want your stories. If you have an interesting, inspirational, or humorous story of your own, let me know. Just write it down or create a 3 to 5 minute video and send it to me at lifestorieswithmitch@gmail.com. Political, religious, or controversial material will not be accepted, nor will profane or sexually explicit content. This is a channel that is a place to escape all of that. If you like the story that you hear, please hit the like button. If you want to continue to be inspired or entertained by life stories of other people, please subscribe. And if you know somebody who has a life story that would be interesting to hear, or maybe interested in hearing other people's life stories, please refer them. So this is story number 2 this week. I'm going to kind of double up on you. Like I said in the previous episode, I had a good friend of mine, Paul Lonis, Klutch, passed away this week from after a 2-year fight with leukemia. Rest in peace, Klutch. God loves the blues too, man. Enjoy B.B. King, Jimi Hendrix, and all the other guitar players are up there. You're right there with them. Now, the story I want to tell this week is a conversation that Klutch and I had. Actually, the last time he and I sat down and talked together was a couple of years ago. After that point, he got sick, and with leukemia, they destroy your immune system, and so he can't have visitors, contact with other people. And so it's been actually 2 years since I've seen Klutch. But this is the last time he and I sat down and talked. Was really kind of funny. So, Klutch was in a motorcycle gang back when he was younger, and his gang got into a little bit of a spat with another gang in a bar out west, and as a result of that spat, Klutch got shot. And when you get shot, that tends to summon the police. If you go to the hospital with a gunshot wound, that tends to summon the police. It's a motorcycle gang, and they don't really want the police, so they loaded Klutch in the back of his car, and they drove him like 3 hours across state lines to another city so that he could get medical care without raising the police department from the locality where the incident actually occurred. And Klutch went on for about an hour about how the fight happened, and the trip to the hospital, and what he went through on that trip and how much pain he was in and whatnot. And then he talked about how his brothers in his motorcycle club basically cleared his path. They made sure that he got taken care of. And he talked about how they treated him, the surgeries he went through and all the procedures he went through, and some of the stuff was just unbelievably difficult to listen to. I mean, it was, talking about digging bloody gauze out of his open wound in his abdomen and stuff, and I'm just like lightheaded and queasy and, got my head between my knees and hyperventilating to keep from passing out from listening to this. I mean, it was really, really tough to listen to. And, he went through that for a couple of months. And, at the end of all that, I told him my story. And sometime on the channel, I'll put my story about my surgery on here. But I told him the story of the surgery that I had, where at the end of the surgery, they had put gauze in my nose to pack the wound so that, it would heal. And I told him how a couple of days later I told the doctor that I couldn't take the gauze and that I wanted him to remove to get the gauze out of my nose, and how the doctor literally just, took his finger and he reached up to my nose and he went pluck on a little chain that connected the two pieces of gauze together, and the gauze fell out of my nose like somebody had unblocked a log jam on a river. And so, my story was 5 minutes long. Klutch's story was an hour. I've got my head buried between my legs, hyperventilating through all of Klutch's details. I tell Klutch my 5 minute story. He's like, "Oh my God, you had it much worse than I did." I'm like, "Really?" I was in the hospital for 5 days. My only real adventure in the whole thing was unpacking the gauze out of my nose, and my story was hard to listen to. But that's the kind of guy Klutch was. Klutch understood a little bit that I'm a kind of a person that has a little bit of a one-upsmanship thing going, and so Klutch kind of pandered to that a little bit and told me that my story was much harder to listen to than the long involved process that he had told me. So, you know, Klutch, thank you. I appreciate that, brother. You didn't have to pander to me, but it was nice that you did, and you know, I'm glad to have spent the time with you. You know, I'm glad to have known you, and look forward to seeing you again. So that's this week's stories. Again, if you liked it, hit the like button. If you want to keep hearing stories like this, go ahead and subscribe. And if you know somebody who wants to share their own story, let them know where we're at. Thanks.